So it is Easter weekend for those who celebrate the Christian faith, or for those who simply enjoy chocolate, eggs and rabbits. Either way, what better focus for this week's show than to have Jeshua Ben-Joseph, or Jesus as he is otherwise known, to address you all directly. That's right, you heard me. Elevated Planet has influences in high places, and Yeshua has a profound message to share with you, the likes of which changed my outlook on life as soon as I heard it. We also have a Yeshua-related revelation to share with you that may well blow your mind. So please make sure that you have your cranial retention helmet firmly strapped in place, because we don't want to have to clear up the mess. Yes, this may all be deemed to be a little controversial, but the truth often is when it undoes thousands of years of deliberately misaligned versions of reality. Of course, whilst this, hand on heart, represents our truth, we honour that as an independent sovereign being, you get to choose whether this represents truth or deluded nonsense for you. Hi there everybody, this is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jolé Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show, where we are diving deep with the Messiah, and John is going to tell us more about it.
Yes, what could be better for Easter than a message from Yeshua or Jesus, whichever you prefer to call him. Yeah, this is really interesting, and I found this is something I came across at a certain point in my life, and I listened to this, what we're going to go through today, and it did quite deeply impact me, actually. In fact, it did, for a fact. I'll come back to that later. And I do think that this is something that is of this time, right? This is a message for right now. And what better than Easter Sunday to be broadcasting something along those lines? And we also have a piece up front, actually, which comes from our favorite Sarah Breskman Cosme book, which is A Hypnotist's Journey to Avalon, which relates to the Templar Knights. And it goes back to the fact that the Templars were protectors of valuable information, of bloodlines, of valuable artifacts and things like that, that really they could be entrusted to make sure that these things were kept very safe. And part of that related to Jesus as well. So that is we're gonna kind of cross over there on that. So we're going to start off with a little piece on that, and then we have a lady who follows immediately. So this first little section is going to take us from that particular piece there on the Sarah Breskman Cosme book into a piece by a lady called Pamela Kribbe, which comes from the Your Soul's Gift book, and it talks about her introduction to Jeshua, Yeshua or Jesus. Okay, so we are going to cover that off very soon. So yeah, that's where we are today, and I don't think we're going to delay too long on this. But Jolé, would you care to add anything before we go diving in?
Yes, it's I like the way that the Joshua Ben-Joseph is portrayed. And so I'd really love for our audience to pay attention to how they feel about that, if there's any triggers there, and how we work them out. I'd love to hear your comments about how you feel about the years of programming that you've experienced under religious, law or religious understanding. And now to hear this,
Yeah,
does it open you up? Does it trigger you? We'd
yeah.
like to know.
And I think, we'll probably find that there would be a mix amongst, because there's obviously there's people who have been very steeped in the biblical version and religious texts, and may be very opposed to hear some of these things. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, whatever reaction for you is right for you, right? Because this is your
Correct.
journey, and everybody's
Yes.
completely entitled to that. Um, and I think without any further ado, Jolie, you reckon we dive into
Yes.
section number one?
Yes.
All right. Okay, everybody. We'll just bear with me a second. We are going to switch screens and we will go to Sarah Breskman Cosme asking a question. It starts off where it's partway through this particular chapter and she's asking her questions, and it's to do with bloodlines. So here we go.
Are the indigenous people the magical bloodline? We are all magical in our own way, and we are all meant to tap into that magic. But yes, there are specific bloodlines that carry a particularly strong magic. I'm being shown that African Americans have a bloodline with a powerful regal origin. There's a deep strength and wisdom in their lineage. Indigenous people also have very magical bloodlines, deeply tied to the earth and spirit. Even Caucasians carry their own unique magical threads, but one of the most important bloodlines is Christ's. His bloodline holds a profound significance. It carries an energy and a connection to Source that is incredibly powerful. These bloodlines in their own ways are all magical, and they hold keys to unlocking abilities that connect us to the divine. This is very controversial, but I'm going to say it. Jesus had children during his lifetime, and there are descendants of Jesus in the population today. The Templars have always known this and are even aware of who those individuals are. It's a protected bloodline, carefully guarded throughout history. When it comes to the cup of life, it was easy for Jesus to use it in the right way because of his connection to Source and his understanding of its power. And when the cup of life is found on this island, which it will be, those descendants of his bloodline will be able to activate it. They will light it up effortlessly because their lineage carries the essence of that connection. This ability comes from the deep spiritual coding in their own DNA, passed down through generations of his bloodline. How would you know if you were part of this bloodline? Some people know. They feel it and have an awareness of who they are. But there are others who don't know at all, who are completely unaware of their connection to this lineage. When the time comes and things begin to activate, their souls will recognize it. That activation will ripple through the bloodline, awakening the dormant DNA in those descendants wherever they are. But it doesn't stop there. It won't just activate them. This ripple effect will spread across the planet, touching every soul in some way. This is the evolution of souls, a collective shift. The activation of the cup of life, and this bloodline isn't just about a single group of people. It's a spark for the ascension and awakening of humanity as a whole.
One evening, Garrett and I were doing a personal session with a client when I noticed a presence near me that I had not felt before. I was used to speaking with my personal spirit guides, who I often felt around me and would uplift me with their loving suggestions and sweet sense of humor. But when I felt Yeshua's presence, it was different. It felt like a solemn and deeply aware energy, very grounded and focused. At first, it frightened me a bit. I asked the energy, "Who are you?" And then I clearly saw the name Jeshua Ben-Joseph, spelled out in front of my inner eye. I instantly felt it was true. In a flash, my soul recognized Yeshua. My mind argued that it was extremely unlikely and presumptuous of me to believe that he would be next to me in my sitting room. But my heart reassured me that it is quite normal for Yeshua to be so close to us. Yeshua is not really an authority far and high above us. He means to be our friend, someone we can trust and be open with because he never judges us, although he is very direct and upfront. He asks of me to be truly honest with myself, to look my fears in the eye and not cover them up with self-serving theories. He is stern in a way, but it's a very loving way. It makes me realize what love is about. Love does not necessarily feel nice and comforting. Often it asks of us to get out of our comfort zone, to be courageous and vulnerable. Expressing myself publicly as a channel for Yeshua raised a lot of fear and insecurity in me that have been very hard to overcome. My instinct, or survival mechanism, has long been to withdraw from the world, which I considered to be a very scary place. Yeshua is teaching me to feel safe in the world, to remain centered and self-aware, while connecting to people instead of feeling fearful and fragmented. I'm still learning how to do this, but I think I've made some progress, and I have received so much from this work. Through channeling Yeshua, I have connected to my soul family across the world. I feel more at home on earth. And most important, despite my fears, I have the deep fulfillment of doing what my soul really longs to do on earth right now. With Yeshua's help, I now realize that we are on earth to embrace our humanness, to go through the emotions we so persistently try to avoid, and to experience the deep fulfillment of becoming a fully grounded human angel.
So Jesus had children. Now, I don't know how many people had awareness around that. There's certainly, it's written about in a number of places, but clearly this is very much at odds with anything from a biblical persuasion. And the fact that that bloodline is protected by the Templars and always has been. Certainly, I've seen quite a few references to that myself. So there may be a number of people here today who, for whom that is less of a mystery. But it does make it very interesting, because I know that the bloodline has had to be very well protected, because there are those out there who would try to interfere with that. So the Templars have been the custodians of many generations of that particular bloodline. And it's interesting, with the Templar cross itself, when you look at the Templar cross, and we've got my one here, my own little version of it. But yeah, when you get that lower stripe that goes down, that is the connection to the earth. Then the going upwards, that is to the Creator, to God. And then you've got one arm going in each direction, which then circles all the way around the world, and it's kind of deemed to be the way that God would put his arms around the planet, and as a protection thing. So the Templars have been into this for a very long time. And there's talk about the Cup of Life as well. And they did mention about the island and the fact that the Cup of Life will be discovered. And this was, these channelings only took place back in 2024. So it was actually quite recent, I suppose. The island in question was Nova Scotia, over in Canada. Okay, so that is where there are artifacts within caves and tunnels that have been there for thousands of years. Now, I believe that these things get found by the person who is supposed to find them at the time when they are supposed to be found. And it's kind of like you go back to things like the Nag Hammadi texts and all those kind of things that were discovered in the 40s and the 50s. Again, they were of their time. They were thousands of years old, and yet this gave you the truth about things like the New Testament, the Old Testament, based off, the work from the Essenes that were discovered as well. It's fascinating stuff. Now, I did want to touch on this because Sarah Breskman Cosme herself, okay, we've been relying, we've done a lot of stuff on her books, and I think rightly so, because this goes very deep, and there are light codes within the books themselves. These are not just books. There's more than that awakens the DNA when you actually go through these things, which is why it's so important to steep ourselves and take a pause to consider this. Now, this piece here, it again comes from the same chapter, which we just heard about, the Cup of Life and the Jesus bloodline. And one of the things Sarah Breskman Cosme was asking of this person associated with the Templar Knights in years and generations past, why it is that she gets all this information. And the answer was as follows: you are a safe space for this information. You've shown that you are like the island itself, which is referencing Nova Scotia, a place where knowledge can be kept and distributed in the way that it is meant to be shared. Your soul carries pure intentions, and this has been recognized through time. We've seen your other lifetimes, like your contributions to the Book of the Dead, and through those lives it was clear that you were worthy of this role. You've proven yourself as a trustworthy keeper of sacred knowledge, and now this information has been waiting for you to incarnate so you could fulfill this purpose. This is very planned. It was always meant to come to you because of your soul's ability to protect it, understand it, and share it in alignment with its original intent. It's as though this knowledge has traveled through time and space, waiting for the right moment and the right person to bring it forward. That person is you. So if there was any doubt about why Sarah Breskman Cosme gets this information, and some of it gets channeled through the likes of Dolores Cannon, again, she was an acolyte of Dolores on her quantum healing hypnosis technique, and that is how she gets this information. And it is remarkable how it comes through, but this is a reason. She was a druidic scribe in past lives as well. She has that book that's hidden somewhere, walled up behind the fireplace in Oxford University somewhere, by all accounts. And that will be discovered by her when the time is right. So again, it's a bit like the cup of life in Nova Scotia. These things are discovered when they're supposed to be discovered. It's kind of like they have a time release mechanism on them, and they can only be found by people who resonate at the right high frequencies. So I think that is really interesting. Now, the other thing I would say when we think about Jesus, and the two books that I would recommend, again going back to Dolores Cannon, would be They Walked with Jesus and Jesus and the Essenes. Really amazing to kind of get a first-hand knowledge of the people who were there at the time, describing him, describing how he worked. And it also tells you how, again, one of the distortions in the Bible, again, and I've mentioned this a lot in recent weeks and months, is the fact that the disciples were they were very evenly split between the masculine and the feminine. There were 144 disciples at that point, and again, that harmonic 144 pattern, which is all sacred in life. 72 female disciples, 72 male disciples. And I think it's the power of the Magdalene where you can find, there's the book that you can find the evidence and the information that backs that up. So, that again is something that as we go through this today, as we dig deeper with Yeshua going forward, that's other sources of information. And you know what? I was just thinking when we were pulling this together over the last few days, this is not just a 1 week and done kind of thing. This is something that we need to dig deeper, because I have uncovered more information that is really well worth sharing. And we won't have time to cover all of it today. So that is what I want to say at this particular point in time. So I want to bring Jolé back for your thoughts at this point.
I think you summed it up nicely, John. It's really exciting that we know Sarah Breskman Cosme is a vessel, that can handle and be safe with this information coming from, Jeshua Ben-Joseph. And if Sarah Breskman Cosme can do this, imagine what you can do if you just believed, and if you just, maybe, we speak about way showers, we speak about the 11 spiritual roles, but she has figured out hers. And to me, that is so inspiring, and for us, encouraging for us to find ours, to find out what it is and how the divine moves through us. Because some people will poo-poo on this and go, oh my gosh, who does she think she is, or whatever. But the courage and the faith and the trust that this is how the Spirit moves through us. So let's really open up and see how this resonates and comes in to us and makes us think. Does it have us expand, or does it have us contract? Because we are moving into a space where we must find that within us so that we can connect and lock in with our fellow man. That is the way humanity has always made it through, is through the support and through the connectivity of us with others.
Yes, very much so. And it's interesting. So obviously we've got Sarah Breskman Cosme, who's been producing these amazing channeled books, which is exactly what Dolores Cannon used to do as well, very much following in her footsteps. But then obviously, of course, we've got Pamela Kribbe, who I think felt very vulnerable about the fact that she was channeling, to her surprise, Yeshua. And
Yes.
yeah,
I was mistakenly said Sarah, and she's channeling what she's channeling, but Crib is my mistake. She's channeling. This is amazing, and inspiring.
Oh,
So
it
go
is.
ahead, John.
It is totally. And I kind of view them in the same light in that regard,
Yeah.
because, that they're
Yes.
doing the same thing, effectively.
But you see how they're like popping up. They've
Mm,
always been here. We've always had these way showers and these 11 spiritual roles throughout time. But now that we're able to reach one another through technology, we are more able to connect. So it's a beautiful space to be in, although it looks as if it's shaky, a lot of turbulence. But at the same time, there's so much love and so
yes.
much light pouring through.
Yes, and it's turbulence with a meaning, right? So
Yes.
This is what we've got to bear in mind. It's, the chaos and everything that we can witness around us is all for a purpose. And in fact, Yeshua himself will relate to that as well. So shall we get in there? Shall we move on to this next
Yes.
section? Fantastic. Okay. Right. Thank you, Jolé. Right. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
John.
And thank you to everybody who's given up part of their Easter Sunday to be with us today as well, for what I believe is a very special program. It certainly reached me very deep anyway in terms of creation of this. So bear with me a second. We're going to switch screens again, and we are going to go back to, this time, Jeshua Ben-Joseph.
An introduction from Yeshua. My humanness. I am Yeshua. I am the one you have come to know as Jesus. In speaking through Pamela, I call myself Yeshua to mark the difference between the real, living me and the artificial image that has been created of me in history. According to this image, I was a man with superhuman abilities who had risen above human emotions such as fear and doubt. In truth, however, I was a human being like you in many ways. I found a way to connect deeply to my soul and to follow my inner guidance in life, but I went through intense inner struggles, just like you. Your cultural and religious traditions tend to deify me and push aside my human aspects. I tell you now that I was human. I am your brother, not far removed from the turmoil of earthly life, but deeply familiar with the challenges you face. It is my wish to reach out to you and to tell you that you can overcome your challenges, that you are a strong and powerful being, and that you are needed at this time in history. My life challenges. Yeshua explained, when I started my human life on earth, my soul knew that I was to bring in a new kind of consciousness, a consciousness to which many people, and certainly the political rulers of that day, were not open. It was my plan to be a public figure and to touch the hearts of like-minded souls. There was a group of people waiting to be awakened by my appearance on earth at that time. This group was meant to create an opening for Christ consciousness on earth. I could not fulfill the mission on my own. I depended on like-minded people to pick up my message and spread it across the world. Many of you hearing this book are part of this group of souls. Many of you were alive around that time. And on the soul level, you had made a vow to bring a new type of awareness to earth. You may call it Christ consciousness, or simply the awareness that we are one, connected by the same flow of life that holds the universe together and sustains all that is. Human beings are essentially the same, and it is this sameness that, if recognized, brings us together and enables us to reach out to one another with a sense of compassion and fellowship. This notion of oneness and equality was very alien to the society I lived in 2,000 years ago. People were strongly divided by race, religion, and social status. One of my greatest challenges was to face the injustices taking place around me and yet remain calm and focused. As a young man, I could easily get angry with the authorities. I had a passion inside me, a temper that could flare up like fire when faced with the unfair treatment of people. I had to learn to deal with that anger because it was central to my mission that I would awaken people's hearts. The heart is not awakened by anger, even if it is for a just cause. Behind anger, there is always fear. Fear means that you do not trust the natural flow of life and therefore feel vulnerable. When you become angry, you are really lashing out against your own vulnerability, which you do not want to face. More than anything else, the heart is awakened by forgiveness and trust, the opposites of anger and fear. To rise above my anger and fear, I had to go within, time and again, and feel that quiet place inside where all things are simple and clear. Yeshua continues, your greatest challenges are never about what other people do, but rather about how you respond. They are about whether you can accept, understand, and thus rise above the emotions that others' actions cause inside you. Spiritual growth is not about you changing the world. It is about going within and changing yourself. This was the case for me, just as it is for you. In making peace with the difficult human emotions of fear and anger, You rise above them and become trusting and forgiving of others. You recognize their oneness with you, and you release judgment. This is what I wanted to accomplish for myself, and in doing so, I touched the hearts of people who were also searching for love and compassion. Especially near the end of my life, I had to learn to trust and forgive in the midst of fear and hostility. My family and friends were fearful of what would happen to me. Some people were filled with hatred for me and were intent upon killing me. I had to remain calm amid this interplay of forces and keep the vibration of peace alive in my heart. In addition to dealing with anger, I had to face the challenge of loneliness in my life. Although I had a loving family and many dear friends, I had to face my most severe challenges alone. In my dying hour, I had to draw upon all my strength to remain focused on the energy of the heart, so as not to be overwhelmed by either the hatred or deep sorrow that were present in the bystanders. I had to rise above my physical and emotional pain and feel the truth that I was not dying on that cross, although my earthly body was. That my spirit had chosen this experience to evolve, and that by doing this, I would set an example for people who face the same challenges. You see, you are walking the same path I walked. You have been crucified in the sense that you have been faced with emotional extremes in your life, and in other lives as well. If you are drawn to this book and feel inspired by its message, you are aware that there is meaning behind the difficulties you experience. If you are open to the fact that you have chosen your life challenges, and if you are trying to find their meaning, then you have already gone beyond your initial reactions of fear, anger, and sorrow. You are now fulfilling your soul's mission.
I love that Yeshua states that the image that has been created about him by biblical texts and religions is artificial. He wasn't a superhuman, but a human who connected deeply to his soul. So he too went through intense inner struggles. The deification aspect of Jesus was, it appears, never his intention. He was simply showing us the way. In fact, the first ever Christian church, which was situated in Glastonbury, England, a fact acknowledged by the Vatican, was known as the Church of the Way, and the people who attended were the followers of the Way. Interesting to note that the church was established by Yeshua's uncle, Joseph of Arimathea, and Yeshua's mother Mary, amongst others. How they got there was a fascinating and miraculous story in itself. But Joseph had many Druidic friends in England, and they were given land on which to live and establish the church. So we are strong and powerful beings, and I love that Yeshua tells us that we are needed at this time in history as we seek to help him complete his mission, to be the way showers of heart-based unity, Christ consciousness. Maybe we were alive at the time of Yeshua, and here we are destined to help conclude things this time around. How exciting is that? Making peace with the low-frequency emotions so that we rise above them, while that unity consciousness automatically provides space to forgive, because we realize we are all aspects of divine intelligence, regardless of the role we are here to play. No one is less or more worthy of love and appreciation. It is time to rise above that judgment, programming, and conditioning that has been designed to keep us small. What do you reckon, Jolé?
John, thank you for really unpacking the humanity and bringing attention to that, because that's so important. And I think that's one of the missteps that we've made as people who worship the divine or the Messiah, is that we have put something in between our connection to the divine. And even when we are practicing or learning, researching the works of these greats, we have a tendency to forget that they're in a human body and they're subject to all the programming, the conditioning, all of the picadillos and fetishes that humanity has taken upon ourselves once that Pandora's box was open, of being lied to, of being deceived, of resets happening. At that point, our job is to stop labeling and judging so that we can dig deep and unearth the truth. So when we put our faith and belief into something outside of ourselves, what we're doing is we're seeping power. That's an energy harvest. And when we start canceling these people who have come on earth to enlighten us, even though they live a life outside of the information with which they are channeling, then they get, and their information then gets nullified. And so when we sit in judgment of others, what we're doing is we're judging ourselves and we're shutting down the beauty that is moving through these vessels. We are not perfect. None of us are. And this cancel culture, at some point, it needs to disintegrate, because all we have to do is align with what resonates with us and leave the rest behind. But as human beings, and being interconnected with one another, it is important that we leave space for one another to grow, to evolve, and to learn. And that's just the beauty of bringing humanity into the Messiah, because it shows us that he is our brother and we are meant to learn from that example. But as far as worshiping something, another human, I think we should think twice about that and really put ourselves in that position, because the soul and the divinity is right within us.
Yeshua says he's our brother, and that feels right to me, and I totally agree with you what you say about the cancel culture regarding many wisdom keepers who have been kind of stripped of their power in many ways, throwing out the baby with the bathwater and everything else. Yeah, there's a lot of disinformation out there as well as information,
Mhm.
and we have to use our discretion to kind of decide what feels right to us. And yeah, I think you've nailed it.
Thank you, John. This was a really good one. I love to hear about the humanity, because what it does then, it takes the pedestal, takes these people off the pedestal where you're looking eye to eye and saying, teach me. I want to learn from you, but I also want to get up and move on my own journey. I don't need to be worshiping those that came before me as much as embodying the energy that they embodied.
Exactly. We can all be way showers, and that is the
Yes.
intention. So,
Yes, as we go through those 11,
the 11 spiritual roles of the soul.
Sarah Landon and her
That's right.
11, yep, speaks to this. So we all need to get clear about who we are first before we decide to focus our energy outside, worshiping or giving our energy over. Mother Earth is out there to teach you all that you need to know when you sit on her and you get quiet and you listen to the energy or the messages coming through. That is the most spiritual church that there is.
Okay, thank you very much, Jolé. We are going to go back to our brother Yeshua for the next upload of inspiration.
Your life challenges. Yeshua said, life challenges bring you to the core of your soul's mission, which is always to help you raise your awareness, release judgment, and create an ever wider space of compassion for yourself and others. The way in which the soul does this is different for each individual. Each soul creates the life path that offers the best possibility for experiencing the emotions it seeks to understand and make peace with. Life challenges generally run counter to your hopes and expectations. Although your soul planned them, they often do not feel like they are supposed to happen. On the contrary, they baffle and bewilder you. To the human part of you who likes to stay in control of life, these challenges almost always feel like they are not meant to be. They seem to be unexpected, unjust, and too difficult to cope with. They generally evoke resistance, fear, confusion, and a sense of powerlessness. If you are in a deeply challenging situation right now and you feel confused, upset, or powerless, realize that this is the most fearful part of you speaking to you. The challenge makes you aware of fear that was already inside you in order for you to address it. The fear comes to you so that you can put an arm around it like you would with a frightened child. The purpose of life challenges is to heal your inner child, the part of you that responds emotionally to life challenges and easily feels betrayed, frightened, or alone. When you become aware that emotions are like children that need to be reassured and caressed, The challenge will bring out your true strength rather than your weakness. It will awaken the power to heal yourself. That life challenges are planned by your soul does not mean that you are destined to experience all the fear and pain they might cause. You have free will. You can choose to overcome them. Instead of becoming suffocated by negative emotions, you can heal and transform your challenges. Ultimately, they are there to remind you of your greatness, not your smallness. Just as you are not your physical body, you are also not your human emotions. You are instead the soul experiencing these emotional states. You are the conscious carrier of your emotions, and you can use your consciousness to approach the most difficult emotions with understanding and compassion, rather than with fear and resistance. If you look at your challenges in this light, you may even become aware, generally after some time has passed, that they have been extremely valuable teachers for you. You may even thank your soul for putting them in your life path. The state of thankfulness in your heart shows that you have really understood the meaning of a particular life challenge. The peace you now feel in regard to the experience will enable you to help people who face similar challenges. You are teaching by example. This is your soul's mission as well. Yeshua continued, "You are here on earth not just to help yourself, but also to make a contribution to humanity. Know that you are needed. Indeed, I need you to complete my mission. The purpose of my life was to introduce and pass on the Christ energy, which is larger than I, to people who would, in turn, pass it on to others. My arrival was meant to bring in the seeds of a new consciousness. You were meant to receive these seeds and let them blossom in your own heart, so that others would be touched by them in the same way. You are becoming Christs yourselves. The rebirth of Christ is nothing more than the birthing of heart-based consciousness within you. You are part of my mission. I needed you then, and I need you now to fulfill our joint mission."
So, digging under the surface of life challenges, as per Robert Schwartz's Your Soul's Gift book, where he uses hypnotic regression to take us back to the pre-birth planning room, where you can then begin to understand why your specific challenges occurred. The bottom line is we did it for the reasons of soul growth, and it is always said that this Earth School is one of the toughest assignments that we could possibly have chosen. The veil of forgetfulness that descends upon birth is designed to help us forget our divine unified heritage, plunging us into a world where the false matrix ensures we get programmed to believe in mind-based separation with an egoic masculine energy as a dangerously dominant force. But that era is now at an end, and it is our job to help usher in the new. Of course, we hold within us the programming of fear, not just from this lifetime, but on an ancestral basis also. This is the opportunity to address it and resolve and dissolve it and create space for expansion into the Christ consciousness that sits within each of us, simply awaiting our activation. But this is a free will planet, so some will choose to hold on to fear, maybe to create space for others to access more light. Once again, no judgment is necessary because we each have a unique purpose within our soul blueprint, and whether that is dark or light, it is still serving a divine purpose. We can choose to be the conscious carriers of our emotions with understanding and compassion while comforting our inner child, holding gratitude for our life challenges in the knowledge that we are learning and growing as we had intended. Pre-incarnation doesn't always come easy, but once we understand the true nature of what this is really all about, we can step into that beautifully expansive power and become way showers for others, helping to fulfill the mission of Jeshua Ben-Joseph. What do you reckon, Jolé?
You know what I got from that, and it may not even totally be on the subject matter, but I see in pictures, and especially when I hear things come in, I see automatically pictures, and then I break them apart, and I am able to understand what the spirit is trying to show me through the picture. And one of the things that Jeshua Ben-Joseph is trying to say to everyone out there who's a leader, whether it's a parent, a CEO, whatever, is positive reinforcement goes a long way versus what is happening in our society where there's this constant focus on the problem, what is not working, what you're doing wrong, where you need to fix, change, grow. You know what? Let all that go and look at what is happening that is positive in your life and the life of others, and stay right there. Shine that light right there. Because even as a parent, when you look at your child and go, you know what, you're better than that. I expect more from you. You are worthy of better behavior. That does so much more for that child, and it plants those seeds in the conscience more than you're horrible, you're bad, that negative reinforcement is going to create for you a world of scarcity, a world where school shooters exist, versus an encouraging word towards a person, a shoulder, a hug, something positive to reinforce the light, versus constantly having us focusing on darkness and things that are destructive to our society. And you just have to open up a paper or turn on a news report to see the deflection away from us shining the light on darkness. And it begins with us. And I'm just going to say a quick anecdote, and then I'm going to be quiet. But when I was in my religious community growing up, there was a lot of that mind control of fear of you're wrong, this is wrong, the Catholic Church is wrong, 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 wrong. And what does that do? That creates a paranoid type of energy, an energy where you are trying to hide and be private. No, no, no. Even in your own life, of course, we want you to have your personal life and your privacy. Nevertheless, who you are, what you love, what you enjoy, please, let that shine through. Let your liberation and your sovereignty, lead with that. But we always want to have the foundation of it being light-based, being uplifting, and failing to hurt others. We want to uplift, learn, grow, evolve in a way that is positive. And let's let go of this terrorizing of our of our fellow man. And I think that's one of the lessons that has come in from Jeshua Ben-Joseph.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? And I got to say, I do find this Yeshua channeling absolutely inspirational. And so
Yeah.
I think we'll carry on and we'll listen to this last section here, and then we'll be back live.
How do you recognize your contribution to humanity? How do you know what you are supposed to contribute? Understand that your contribution is never separate from your personal goals. The life challenges you face always lead you to the specific areas in which you can serve others. For instance, someone who lost a child has gone through the intense mourning process this evokes may, if this is the soul's mission, feel attracted to helping other parents deal with the loss of a child. The right people will cross their path to attract this kind of work to them. And as they do the work, they will feel joy and fulfillment, even if they are among people who are dealing with intense grief, anger, or loneliness. Your contribution to humanity has to do with what you love doing and would do naturally, even if you were not paid for it. This may change over the course of your life. There is a natural tendency in human beings to want to pass on to others the knowledge they have acquired at the level of the heart. Because when your heart is awakened, you more easily feel the connection between yourself and others, even humanity at large. If there is love in your heart, you will want to share your knowledge with others because this will make you feel even more joyful and loving. Often, the heart energy is awakened after going through a personal crisis. You have a saying, "What does not kill you makes you stronger." Life challenges, as discussed in this book, are like that. They seem to break you, but what they are actually intended to do is to break your self-created barriers of fear and judgment. If you allow crisis to purge these barriers, you invite a new consciousness into your life, one that will attract the right circumstances for you to fulfill your soul's mission. At this point in history, it is time for humanity to ascend to a new level of consciousness. It is time for humans to recognize their oneness, even if they are of different races, genders, or cultural backgrounds. This time is a time of crisis and of opportunity. The crisis your world faces in economics and ecology are due to a lack of heart-based awareness in these areas. Both the interactions among humans and the interaction with nature are often seen in terms of profit and personal gain. This is ego-based consciousness. I do not judge this type of consciousness. It has served a purpose, as all expressions of consciousness do. It is now time, however, to rise above ego-based consciousness. Earth is calling out for humans to reinstate the natural harmony between all that lives on the planet. The spirit of humanity is called upon to heal the wounds that centuries of fear, struggle, and separation have caused. The crises humanity is facing are to be solved, not by inventions of the mind like new technologies, but by the awakening of the heart, one human at a time. You are alive today because your soul wants to help humanity ascend to heart-based consciousness. It is by going through your own challenges and finding the opportunity within them that you contribute most to humanity's well-being. Your contribution is not so much what you do as who you are. It is your awareness that makes the difference. As more of you invite heart-based consciousness into your lives, it becomes easier for others to make the transition to a new way of being, at peace with themselves, humanity, and nature. Yeshua concluded, I call upon you to have faith. I tell you that you are not alone. You can face your life challenges and overcome them. You can be a teacher of heart-based consciousness and reach out to others in a way that feels joyful and fulfilling. Your life has meaning, and you are needed to make your unique contribution to the larger whole of which you are part. Recognize me as your brother and next of kin. I am here to help you, but I need your help as well. Join me, and let us together fulfill the old promise of a new earth.
And we are back. So one thing I recall about the first time I listened to that, I mean, this is the book in question, okay? So this is where that channeling came from, and it was referenced a few times there. And it is an amazing book. Robert Schwartz is here for a very special purpose. And, you really understand so much more about the nature of consciousness and the human experience through reading the book. But the channeling of Yeshua there, which is the only place within the book that is done by Pamela Kribbe. When I first heard that, I remember it because I was on my way to see a client over in Orange County in California, and I was on the drive over there on the freeway, and the first time it played on the audiobook as I was driving along, and I kind of just was transfixed by this. Still, fortunately, looking at the road ahead. But nevertheless, as soon as it had finished, I would go back and play it again. I must have listened to it 10 times, back to back to back. It felt like I was being spoken to directly. And that was back in probably early 2019, maybe something like that. And that was when I was kind of starting to step more into the idea of the nature of consciousness, the human experience, and learning and understanding what that was all about. So I was really starting to dig deep under the surface of this. I find it really, really interesting because, these life challenges, and again, it gets alluded to a lot. Life challenges are here because they're growth opportunities, soul growth opportunities, and we set them for ourselves in that pre-birth planning room on the other side, and we set ourselves tough challenges because that's what we wanted. So all these things that happen to us in life are hurdles that have been put in front of us by us, and once you get to understand this, and the fact is that we learn and we grow as a result of that, which then puts us into a position where we can start to help others as well. So I really, again, that book comes very highly recommended. But also, I wanted to mention about this one as well, which is The Drama of the Lost Disciples. Now, this one's not particularly freely available because it was published back in the 1960s, written by a gentleman called George Jowett, who actually crossed over in 1969, as it happens. But this is where the information came from about, say, that the first ever Christian church being the Church of the Way in Glastonbury. This is where it comes from, because He went into the archives of the Vatican and various other things to uncover the documents going back to the time, Roman times and all the rest, to identify what this was about. And it's interesting actually, because when you look on the cover there, that picture of Glastonbury Abbey that you saw earlier, which is the stone structure, which is the remnants of the original abbey, which is all that's left of it. But the original Church of the Way was a wooden kind of that time, was done with wooden structures. So that obviously the abbey replaced the original Church of the Way. So there it is in the heart of Glastonbury. And again, there's so much interesting stuff. If you were to try and get that book, you'd have to get it through some sort of secondhand book dealer or something like that. That's where I found it anyway. I think, yeah. So, and that I was led to that again through the work of Dolores Cannon, because she referenced it as part of the research she did when she was doing the work on They Walked with Jesus and Jesus and the Essenes. So really fascinating stuff. But again, one final thing to mention to you about life challenges, because one of the other things that's in, again, this book, flipping around from book to book at the moment, but the Hypnotist's Journey to Avalon. Again, there's a section, there's a complete chapter here dedicated to Merlin and the magic symbols. And this is what Merlin put in the channeling, on one of these QHHT sessions with Sarah Breskman Cosme. I just wanted to read this to you because, again, when you think about what we heard from Yeshua and what is said here, Merlin was asked, what advice would you give humans on how to live their lives most efficiently? And the answer was, the most important thing is to release the woundedness, to let go of the pain and trauma that you carry. Life is full of lessons, and while some of these lessons come through hardship, they are not meant to define you. Do not hold on to the past or allow it to contract your light. Instead, experience, learn, and then release. By letting go, you allow the light to expand, to shine brighter. You are not your wounds. You are a magnificent being of light, and when you remove the burden of injury, your true nature emerges full of compassion and grace. I read that earlier and I thought, yeah, that passage really fits with, what is said by Yeshua. We are here to help him complete the mission, which is actually our mission. It's all of our missions together, but we're all coming at it from different angles because we all have different gifts. We're all different pieces of that cosmic jigsaw puzzle coming together. And once we complete the whole, then we have something which is unstoppable. It's all about creating the new. It's not about fighting the old. And I'm just looking forward to digging deeper under this in subsequent weeks as well. But with that said, I want to bring Jolé back in, please.
Yeah, that was a beautiful breakdown of it. And, we deal with polarity though, too. Like, I know even in some of the things I'm saying, it may sound a little contrarian because of the polarity that we're working out now. And that's also part of it. As to moving to unspeakable beauty and into a state where we are aligned with our purpose, right? And we're body, soul, and spirit in alignment. I'm laughing at that because that's like, wow, especially when you spoke about the struggle. But once we get there to this space, that is where we are filtering and transmuting negativity, limiting beliefs, negative thoughts into unspeakable beauty. And that's what working with your polarity and taking a minute and going, all these judgments and these criticisms or labels that I think is going to happen and caring about what's going on outside of me, let me put that down and love where I'm at right now. But at the same time, learn how to evolve and grow in a way that is true to your sovereignty, your liberty, and your free will. We're so afraid, to grasp that right now for whatever reason. We've always been, the well-worn path, but now is really the time to strike out there on your own. And thankfully, the flip side of the pandemic was that a lot of us were home and able to relax and really get in touch with ourselves. Hopefully, we'll continue on that way and do more and more of that to really have that self-discovery and that self-love that powers us towards unspeakable beauty.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, again, a bit like you mentioned there with the pandemic, I think that the chaos that's going around us is designed to shake people out of the comfortable existence, because without that you do not get the growth opportunities. People have to be pushed out of the comfort zone effectively. You know, life begins where the comfort zone ends. But we need pushing, right? Because people
Yeah.
don't just go there and leave their comfortable homes and their comfortable existence to strike out. But I think that is the time. That's the reason we came here onto the planet right now. And you know, it's nice to think that we were around at the time of Yeshua, 2,000
Yeah.
odd years ago, and being there at the time that that unfolded as well. And you know, whatever role we played, right? So
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
we are back again.
Okay. Yes, and one more thing I just want to make clear. When we say, about council culture, there are things out here we're learning about that are absolutely beyond the pale. And if there are people breaking laws in such egregious ways, we definitely think, believe that there should be consequences for that. But for people living out their lives in ways that we may not agree with, or in ways that look strange to us, maybe we need to take a step back and allow for the space of that too, as long as no one is being harmed.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
That's what we mean.
Well, I think the judgment thing is something that we need to learn to release anyway. It's just so
Mhm.
programmed into us. And the bottom line is going forward, we realize that judgment is a low frequency emotion. And the fact is that that is something that we are responsible for our life paths. We can be a beacon to our community. We can be a beacon for the people around us, which is fantastic. And I think that's a really good focus point. One thing actually just crossed my mind, I forgot to mention about, again, this book, The Drama of the Lost Disciples. How Joseph of Arimathea, Mother Mary, Lazarus, amongst many others, came to be in Glastonbury. It's all in here as well. It's kind of a remarkable journey if you don't know it, and it's also tied in with Gaul as it was, which is France, which the landing point of the boat on
Yeah.
which they all left the Holy Land was over there, which is it St Mary's by the Sea, I think is the British translation of the place. So it's quite fascinating when you start to bring these lineages into our backyard, as it were, as well.
And the learning, John, and you could see how narrow our learning is when they're finding these things over in Glastonbury. They've also found somewhere in Alabama, like Egyptian artifacts, proving that, there were either travels or other indigenous people. So the stories we've been told, we might want to rethink them,
Yeah,
you
we
know?
have to keep our minds wide
So,
open, I think, now,
yes.
because, we know there's been a lot of disinformation out there to try and pull us off track. Human history, as we know it, I think, is largely a fallacy, which is designed to keep us off track. And the unfolding of the true history is going on around us right now, and will continue to unfold for years ahead. I'm convinced of it. Exciting times. That's the thing to bear in mind, that we're here for this journey at this time, helping Yeshua Ben-Joseph complete that mission into heart-based consciousness. I'm convinced about it. And there's some fantastic work there by Pamela Kribbe as well that goes beyond
Yes.
the book there. And Jolé and I are digging under the surface of that as well, because we need to share that information with you. It really is powerful.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So is it time for meditation?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Fantastic. Okay, everybody, we are going to go back for a few last words there from Yeshua, just to help lead us into Jolé's words of wisdom. So bear with me a second. Here we go.
As more of you invite heart-based consciousness into your lives, it becomes easier for others to make the transition to a new way of being, at peace with themselves, humanity, and nature. I call upon you to have faith. I tell you that you are not alone. You can face your life challenges and overcome them. You can be a teacher of heart-based consciousness and reach out to others in a way that feels joyful and fulfilling. Your life has meaning, and you are needed to make your unique contribution to the larger whole of which you are part. Recognize me as your brother and next of kin. I am here to help you, but I need your help as well. Join me, and let us together fulfill the old promise of a new earth.
Wow, what a beautiful sentiment, reminding us all to have faith, especially in ourselves and the voice of our intuition. Our higher self guides us. So please take a deep breath in. Exhale, relax. Go at your own pace and the rhythm of your body. For those of you sitting down, put your feet flat on the floor and your palms face up on your thighs. For those of you laying down, please keep your feet flat for the beginning part of the meditation. From a heart-centered space, command your heartbeat to sync up with your breath. As you call your astral body back, fitting inside of you like a hand fits inside of a glove. Ground your energy into Mother Earth with the grounding cord of a natural earth element that is 6 inches in diameter, connected to your first chakra. Your aura is 1.5 feet around you, and your higher self stands at the power position at a comfortable distance above your crown. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body, visualize the bottoms of your feet opening like the lens of a camera, and 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you pools in the bottoms of your feet and begins to travel up the side channels of your legs. Those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles blanket the inside and the outside of your grounding cord. Your crown opens like the lens of a camera, and 85% cosmic gold life force energy comes cascading down from the heavens, raining down on your higher self and moving down into your crown, saturating, marinating your brain, really creating deeper grooves in those neurotransmitters that support your purpose, resolving and dissolving any trauma on its way down to meet earth energy at the first chakra and begin to fill you up like water fills up a cup, this essence. I want you to work it out, get detailed. See the colors coming together with mostly gold, with specks of earth energy. As you sit in your heart and breathe with the rhythm of your body, and watch all of this energy of Mother Earth and the divine combine and integrate with each and every one of your cells and atoms in your body, resolving and dissolving dis-ease and illness, sending that down the grounding cord, bringing in so much gold light, so much love, so much joy, peace. As you sit in your heart and let this happen, let all this joy and love move throughout your body as you command for that portal between the center of your head and your heart to open. Get detailed. What does it look like? Is it lined by gold lights? Is it a golden slide ladder? You climb up and slide back down into the heart. What is it? How do you get there? Or do you just walk through a mirror and you're in the center of your head? Play around with it. Because you want the center of your head and your heart to work in tandem, be guided by the messages from the higher self, and to be rooted and grounded into the reality that is Mother Earth. So when you open up this portal, you say, I am confused. Move down into your heart. How does it make me feel? If it feels scary but exciting, that might be that fear we need to face. if it makes the hair on the back of our neck stand up, maybe it's something that we should stay away from. But if it's warm and cozy, if it makes us smile or feel any type of envy or jealousy, maybe it's something we need to lean into, learn about ourselves. So take a moment and walk through that portal to the center of your head. And here, I want you to go ahead and clean out all the negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. How do you do that? You open up your third eye like the lens of a camera, and outside your aura layer are two roses to the right and to the left of you. These are the universal symbol for transmuting negative energy into positive energy. Go out, send the energy in the center of your head out into these roses. Clean everything out to where there is nothing but you and a comfortable place to sit in this beautiful space in your head so that you could see out of your third eye. But right now, your third eye is open and you're cleaning it all out. And that golden sun above your head is calling back all of your energy. All of the people, the places, and the things are moving out from your third eye into those roses outside your aura layer. And that golden sun is calling back all of your energy that you may have left in these spaces and these places. And when you are ready, when your golden sun is filled and your roses have taken in all that you want to give it, you're going to give those roses an energetic push about 10 feet away from you. Blow them up, turn them into fireworks, which is positive, creative life force energy for anyone to use as you call all your energy back into that golden sun above your head. And for those of you who said, oh, I need some more roses, I didn't get it all out, there's roses that appear right in the space where the other roses moved out of. And you just keep cleaning out the center of your head. For those of you that's like, oh, I need deeper clean, create roses in the center of your head that are vacuum cleaners, that are dusters, that are brooms and mops, and clean out the center of your head of all of the thoughts, the limiting beliefs, other people's energy, tradition, religious programming, educational programming, the news. Get it all out. Because in that golden sun above your head is not only your energy being called back, but Christ's consciousness is all throughout that golden sun above your head, that beautiful 85% cosmic gold life force energy is raining down upon. So after you've given your last roses that push and blown them up, you're going to see your higher self reach up and grab that golden sun, bring it down through itself, and in that space between the higher self and your crown, this sun breaks into 50 trillion pieces, little cells merging and integrating as it goes in, which with each and every one of your atoms and your cells, encouraging them, motivating them, the telomeres to get longer, to stay healthy and well and robust, your mitochondria to regenerate and recalibrate. All of your DNA is programmed for wellness, for peace, for love, for unspeakable beauty as this essence moves through your cells in your body, begins to go down that grounding cord, chasing down into the core of Mother Earth, those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles. As we move down, This golden essence of Christ consciousness mixed in with your energy moves through your body, down your grounding cord, out into your aura layer, and out into your environment, creating beauty and love. And you sit in your personal power wherever you go. As Christ consciousness just moves all throughout you, mixing in with that earth energy and that cosmic life force energy, creating that divine essence that is you. So as you take a deep breath in, on the exhale, allow for this energy to just settle in, bringing your grounding cord into the present moment. It's clean, clear, and filled with cold light. Your aura layer is just beaming with unconditional love, and your mind, body, and spirit is constantly giving and receiving unspeakable beauty in the most loving way. So as you solidify this into your body, your mind, and your spirit, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, close your crown like the lens of a camera and allow for that 85% cosmic gold to ascend back just above your higher self, having access to this at any time. Take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, you want to close your hand chakras. They automatically open once you started running energy, but we're going to visualize them closing like the lens of a camera, and all that beautiful life force energy settling into our upper body and our core. As we take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, we visualize our feet closing like the lens of a camera. As we relax, allow that energy to settle, and we open our eyes.
Wow. All
It
over
was just
body.
a simple cleaning.
But I felt the all over. It is 50 million little vacuum cleaners in there, I think, working away on each of the cells, or 50 billion, or whatever it is, 50 trillion.
Yeah, trillion, something like that. However many, that's what was created.
Yes, that was very nice. Thank you. Very refreshing. All cleared out. So, thank you, Jolé, as
Thank
always.
you.
And message from Karina. Beautiful message today. Thank you, reminding us of who we are and why we are here. I
Mhm.
felt it deeply. Love and gratitude to you both. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Karina.
Yeah, I just that was how it struck me back in 2019, whatever, on the way over to Corona to see a client, and I was just like transfixed by it. I really was. And ever since then, it kind of set me on a path. So you get certain triggers come along in life, and one of them was that, Yeshua, Ben-Joseph message there. And, I think Jolé and I will be researching more into this because there is more to talk about here as well. I find it really interesting. And so, Jolé, I don't think we're done with this one yet, but
No, not yet.
no. Okay. All right. So wrap up mode.
Yes, please, let's not to forget to like, share, and subscribe Elevated Planet so we can spread the word of unspeakable beauty.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Sharing is all important because it doesn't get passed very far through YouTube itself for whatever algorithm reasons, but we can do that sharing ourselves. So if you know people that you believe that this will appeal to, please do share it. It'd be really good. Of course, the other thing that I should mention is that we are a voluntary donation based channel these days, and we have details below for anybody who can spare, buy us a coffee or whatever you want to call it, to help us to keep the show on the road. It is very, very gratefully received. And to those who have already contributed, thank you. We
Yes, thank you.
pass on best of wishes. Thank you. Okay, so anybody who wants to join our community, please drop me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.life, or you can go via our website. For now, it's going to be revamped soon, by the way, the elevatedplanet.life website. We've got some great plans for that. But for now, you can also go through elevatedplanet.life, and then there's a contact page there with a free format contact box. But obviously, always there is in the description below, below that, you can add your messages there as well. So we always love to see that. So thank you, and thank you to Kit for being here today, supporting us from
Yes,
early through to the end.
yes.
We
Thank you,
love having
Kit.
you with us, and everybody else, because I know Joy and various others also watch it on TV, but you can't send the comments. So hi, Joy. And everybody else who's here with us on Easter Sunday, and everybody who will join us on the recording. Deep gratitude to those who've been on to the Thursday Pam Gregory inspired meditation. We're seeing those numbers come through in the hundreds now, which translates into interestingly now, the hundreds of thousands once you square up that number in terms of the energetic value of that. So please do keep coming to that, because I get excited about how those numbers are affecting that quantum wave structure in the most positive of ways. So we'll do that again on Thursday, right?
That's right.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, we're going to leave you to go and enjoy your Easter eggs now and whatever other festivities you've got planned. And thank you again for being here. And thank you, Jolé.
Thank you, John. We'll see you again next week, everybody.
See you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.